Fall camp time. So, before we dive into, we've got a couple of position previews, linebackers coming up, defensive backs, and safeties. But before we go into the position previews, what have you been hearing, TJ, as far as like fall camp latest? Is Alex Orji still in the lead for quarterback? Is Davis Warren in the conversation at all, or has Alex Orji kind of separated himself, you think?
Yeah, so we have a loaded, just like we did last week, a loaded fall camp update. So we're going to do offense first, and then I'll get some feedback from you guys and we'll go defense. But regarding Alex Orji, great news, guys. Like, great news. Alex Orji is still holding down QB1 in camp. The coaches are feeling more optimistic with him in both run and pass. Not only that, they're noticing an improved pocket presence as well as him going through his progressions, right? So Alex Orji is starting to take that step that they wanted to see him take since spring ball, which is becoming not just a runner, right? Not just an athlete who throws a ball, but an actual quarterback, right? A player who is able to diagnose the defense, go through his reads, be able to feel the pocket and not just rush to a run. And they are starting to see that. Now, obviously, has he perfected it? I'm sure he has not perfected it, right? But what they are seeing is progression. And not only that, we've been hearing since the start of camp that Alex Orji has taken the lead. Nothing has changed. If anything, confidence has only continued to build. Now, also great news is Davis Warren, who's currently running second, is playing well. Like, that's the thing. It's not like Davis Warren isn't playing well. This isn't a situation where Alex Orji's playing a little bit better and Davis Warren's not even performing and Jack Tuttle's injured. It's not that. It's that Alex Orji's literally just a step above everybody in terms of performance, but Davis Warren is also at his heels in the sense of performing well, right? But I mean, it appears to be, and this wasn't confirmed, but it just appears to me from the intel that I've received or intel that we've seen elsewhere, that Orji is just he's just a step ahead right now. As well as Davis Warren's playing, it's just you can see a higher ceiling for Michigan. So it's great to see that we are now through 3 weeks of camp and we are still seeing Alex Orji maintaining what we've heard from the beginning of camp. The next player I want to hit on is a name that you guys are familiar with and should be on the lookout this year, and that is Marlin Klein. Marlin Klein is continuing to impress with his speed and physicality. And what's funny, John, and we talked about this on social media, because our show, we talked about how Marlin Klein is taller than Colson Loveland, faster than Colson Loveland, and quicker than Colson Loveland, right? But, and then what did Kirk Campbell say? Kirk Campbell had a quote of, what did he say? He said, physically trait-wise, he's the best tight end I've ever been around. And I've been around Pat Freiermuth, Eric All, Luke Schoonmaker, and even Colson Loveland. Marlin is faster, bigger, not as fluid, but the kid is an extreme freak of nature. And that is exactly what we brought to you guys before Kirk Campbell even mentioned those words to the public. So again, John, we were on the money with our analysis of that. And it's just great to hear that, as we've talked about since spring ball, that Marlin Klein, although Colson Loveland is without question the number one tight end in the nation, he's going to be TE1. But we now have that second option in the offense where you can split Colson Loveland to the X position. You can move Colson Loveland around. And I fully expect, and as we had in our tight end preview, I fully expect Marlin Klein to be a name that is known this season. So shout out to Marlin Klein for doing it. I'm excited. I am so excited to see him play this season. And then on to Colson Loveland. I mentioned this in our Thursday show, so I didn't even mention this last week. Colson Loveland has been experimenting at the X position. Michigan has been putting him out wide. So this is a new development. It's big news because what it does is it gives us that true X. The X receiver was currently being handled by Fred Moore, who we all know he's a 6'1" wide receiver. He's got great speed, but you do want that size on certain plays, right? So what they are doing, and because you have a player like Marlin Klein, is you are putting Colson Loveland at the X position and letting him do his thing, and then Marlin Klein can play the tight end position in just the base offense. So it's extremely interesting. I'm excited to kind of see where that goes. It should be fun because what it does is it creates mismatches. And we saw Colson Loveland play the X position in the Big Ten game against Purdue. If anyone remembers that touchdown catch on the sideline, I think it was like in the second quarter. So we have seen him do it before. They're planning to do it a little bit more this season. And then my last thing I have for you guys for offense, and it's very interesting because we didn't have this for you last week. Jordan Marshall is making a push for RB3. And it is strongly believed that if Jordan Marshall didn't come in June and he was here for all of winter conditioning and winter camp, that he may actually have the position. But right now it is a Jordan Marshall, Ben Hall battle for RB3, and Jordan Marshall has looked good so far. And I do want to reiterate that we did have Sharon Moore last week say, out of the freshmen, he was asked what freshman does he expect to contribute. Jordan Marshall was one of those names. So it's extremely interesting. We thought potentially before fall camp began that Tabir Dunlap might be in the running for RB3 only because of some intel that came out during summer conditioning and camp. But it appears to be a Ben Hall, Jordan Marshall battle, which is actually great news because I have faith in both of those players. And we all know it's Khalil Mullins and Donovan Edwards show this season. So again, another week of good intel. Again, nothing negative coming out of camp offensively, which guys, like it's not a Michigan bias or like you're only going to hear. We have heard negative things come out of camp before. It's interesting to hear what is and is not coming out of camp this cycle. And also, if you look at the coaches' press conference or interviews they're doing, there is definitely a confidence in the air coming out of Ann Arbor. They feel good about their team, and I'm excited to see it, John.
Well, okay. So when you were saying that, I just wanted to, because I was remembering all those times with the Tigers where right behind you there on my left, on your right, I guess. So the Miguel Cabrera jersey, and I'm thinking, okay, is this like when the Tigers would always say Miguel Cabrera is in the best shape of his life?
Yeah.
and so what you're telling me is no. If there's bad news, it does trickle down. So that's good that we're very optimistic. Just quick words about Orji. I don't think people they think people I think that Orji is this runner. So somehow maybe he doesn't have leadership skills or smarts. My understanding is that Alex Orji is a very smart person. He's a very smart person, and he's obviously a leader as well. So the fact that he was having trouble completing, a percentage of passes or never completed a pass in a real game, quote unquote, I don't think that really has to do with his smarts or leadership skills. So I just want to kind of point that out as well. And all things being equal, obviously he's an athlete, but also the leadership skills are that's super important as a quarterback. So, I believe that he's got the job at this point. So we'll see what happens in a little over a week. Can't wait to see it. Klein and Loveland, just a couple comments there. Hopefully Loveland's getting some love because Klein is getting all these accolades. so let's make sure we keep Loveland happy. And maybe we're telling him, hey, you've got some Calvin Johnson in you, and that's why we're going to put you in the wide receiver one. We're going to get both of you on the field, and you're going to get some position flexibility. And I point back to what I was just saying about being smart and being a leader. Those are the things that you can have position flexibility when you have smart, unselfish players that exhibit kind of leadership skills, saying, okay, fine, I'll go to wide receiver, put me in there. Maybe it will help me in terms of my draft status, but maybe it won't, but I'm doing the best to kind of help the team. So I'd love to see that. Let's see what happens with respect to that. And then as far as RBs, running backs go, we are loaded in the running back position, and we need to remember what happened to Texas. So we've got to be prepared, and it is very good. Texas lost 2 running backs. Mm-hmm. It's very good that we, those running backs are fighting for playing time. They'll still get playing time, but it sort of depends on the health of the players and other players, et cetera. So those would be my comments on that. Yeah, great update there, TJ.
Yeah. I just have one comment, which is that Jordan Marshall is somebody that, again, for the last couple of weeks we've been mentioning, has been impressing. And I think had he had the earlier time in the winter, spring, then he might be RB3 for sure. And now the fact that he's pushing Ben Hall, who I think we've all seen moments where Ben Hall has looked really, really good, especially in spring games. If Jordan Marshall is coming in with like a month or less of time, and he's coming in and pushing for RB3 right now, that's remarkable. That's somebody, and we saw it in the film when we first were talking about him. But his ability to do the jump cuts, like a couple of people mentioned in chat here, he does have plays that remind me of Blake Corum, right? I'm with the commenter and mentioned that. So yeah, that was my big takeaway, because we've talked about Marlin Klein before, that he's impressing. The fact that he's pushing Loveland is a big deal, but that's something we've been commenting on the last couple of weeks too. But the Jordan Marshall thing, I think, is particularly remarkable because of how little he's been in the program. The fact that he's pushing Ben Hall, who's been in the program for years, is legit.
Absolutely. And he was Mr. Ohio his junior year. I saw that in the comments. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good info coming out of camp right now. As we've stated, there's just a cloud of optimism out of Ann Arbor right now. It just the current level of play that is happening. There's not a drop off in terms of the intensity, the work ethic, the focus, the drive. The culture has maintained. It really has so far. And Sharon Moore, he's doing a great job with it. So we can touch on. We should probably hit on our super chat here. Antoine King, $4.99. Appreciate the Babelo update. He's going blue. Any words on any more analysts hired, since they are basically assistant coaches now, and Sharon Moore can hire an unlimited amount. No update on that yet. You are right that they can now hire a bunch more, and they can now go on the field. And I'm sure we will see probably after the year, you'll see some new. I think it's so late in the process. Fall camp has already started. You'll probably see next offseason the roster of coaches really pick up. And not only that, a certain talent level of coach added, because now you don't have to just be on the sideline as an analyst. You can actually do on-field coaching, which is a big deal. So we'll see where that goes. But all right, so we can transition. Let's transition, John, to the defense side of the ball. Unless you guys got any more comments before we get there.
Just want to thank Antoine.
Yeah, thank you, Antoine. Yeah, so all right. Listen, we're getting to the defense, boys, and I think we all know we are expecting big things from the defense this year at Michigan. And we said, John, again, we've been on it. We've nailed it. We've been saying since February, March, that we expect this defense to be top 5, contending for number 1. Well, look, fall camp has done nothing but only solidify our initial thoughts of the expectations, and the boys are just playing great. Jay-Sean Barham is still, through 3 weeks of practice, a problem. He's just a complete disruptor, making plays all over the field. He's really standing out. They are expecting, and we talked about it last week, big things from Jay-Sean Barham. It's just, again, when you get consistent updates week to week, maybe there's a week where a kid flashes or they stand out a little bit, but then when, pads come on, or you're doing this grind on the daily, do kids fetter out, or do they continue to perform at a high level? Jay-Sean Barham has continued to perform at an elite level. So be on the lookout for that. That is another name for anyone who's new, just getting into Michigan for the season, because ball's about to pick up and you're trying to get your Michigan content. Jay-Sean Barham is a name to know. Be on the lookout. Jair Hill is still looking great at CB2. I mean, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but from my opinion, you could just announce it. Jair Hill is CB2. He's looking very good in camp. He's very consistent. He's poised. He's diagnosing plays. He's just holding the position down right now. Amir Hall is CB3. And we talked about this as well last week, but it just appears that Jair Hill is ready to take the torch at that position. And Amir Hall is going to be the pinch hitter or the guy they rotate during games as it stands right now, 3 weeks into camp. So it's still good, though. They still feel optimistic, like they have 3 starters at cornerback, which is big. You want that. We will see how that transfers to the field, but all good there. And then Zeke Berry, as we know, he's one of the names that we have highlighted and we are very focused on. And the thing about Zeke Berry is he's getting better because he's so young. He's getting better each practice. They are seeing development and increased level of play. Like his confidence is building each practice. The staff is very happy with his progression this fall. He's looking to be a player. Be on the lookout for that. Now, a new name to the fall camp update is Wesley Walker. And here's what's interesting, because we've all kind of thought, okay, who's going to start on the opposite side of Makari Page? Well, we have felt it was going to be Quentin Johnson. And as it stands, Quentin Johnson is still the starting opposite safety. But Wesley Walker has been repping with the starters ahead of Quentin Johnson on certain reps. That has happened. So what does it mean? Are they just maybe giving him a look? Are they seeing what he can do with that opportunity? Maybe so. But I'm just bringing to the table that he has seen some reps starting. He's one of the players who, when we talked about it last week, John, Michigan has realized that there is more depth on this roster than they initially thought going into camp, which many thought would be a concern considering we lost so much. Wesley Walker is one of those guys, along with Amir Hall, who they feel is going to be a player that will be in the rotation this year on defense and will have some significant impact in terms of playing time. So shout out to Wesley Walker. We'll see what he can do with that. We will definitely be tapped in. And shout out to my boy Juju. He's typically watching. I haven't seen him in the comments. He's gonna love this update. Trey Pierce. Okay, this is big news because we talked about this last week, John. This is big news. Okay, we talked about, we got Kenneth Graham, we got Mason Graham, we got Inaweta, we got Rayshon Benny. You have these 4 defensive tackles that you're going to be able to rotate and play with. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? It's not just 4 defensive tackles. Trey Pierce is looking to be a part of the rotation this season, and Michigan feels very good about the depth that is building, and they do feel like Trey Pierce will see some time on the field this year. So we're talking, we're 5 deep at the defensive tackle position.
That's
like the
great.
depth concern is mute. Like it is mute. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, there are some new faces starting, which of course we will see how that goes when they play on Saturdays. But in terms of the depth, the development is happening, boys. So that is what is great to see. We saw it. We were a little concerned with Justin, with Coach Trust, the new strength and conditioning coach. Can he do what Ben Herbert did? Well, we saw with the results, the guys gained weight. The right players gained weight. They gained good weight. The right players lost weight, like Cameron Brand. He lost a little bit of weight. He's now playing an end position. But again, you are seeing, and we talked about it, you are seeing this culture, you are seeing this development transferring to this new era of Michigan football, and the development is happening. So again, now the next step is, and I know Steve, our lovely loyal Buckeye in the comments is going to love this. Now it comes down to, will it transfer to the field on Saturdays? And we're all going to find out together, Steve. Me, you, and every Michigan Wolverine are going to find out, does what we are hearing out of camp transfer to wins on Saturdays? And I'm going to tell you, I feel optimistic about this team. The intel is good. I'm just going to tell you. So that's all the updates I have. But I'm just going to tell you, there is no way, there is zero negative coming out of camp unless there is negative happening. I'm going to assure you that right now. There has not been a fall camp where we've gotten nothing to be aware of. There's always been something, whether it be there's just, whether it be wide receiver play, cornerback play, safety, there's been something. This year, there has not been anything that's been a red alarm or a red alert. It's very interesting. Now, could it be simply that it's a new coaching staff? But then at the end of the day, listen, there are people observing practice. This stuff would get out. Okay, that's just the reality of it. So it's good to hear. And yeah, another week of positive camp updates. So let's go. I'm ready for football, baby.
That is great. I only have one thing, and then I'll let you go, Ferris,
sure.
Which is that Wesley Walker is actually the one that was projected by Phil Steele to be the other starting safety. So he has been projected in some areas. So it may be very much a rotating those two in and out all game. We know that Wink Martindale does that. And the Ravens style has a lot of rotation because we don't want anybody getting tired. So you got to build up enough players who could be starting caliber. We saw with Ernest Hausman in the defense last year, where technically Michael Barrett was the starter on the depth chart, but like Ernest Hausman was basically another starter with the amount of reps he had. So Wesley Walker may be a similar situation where he's in there quite a bit.
I forgot some notes, guys. I forgot some. I got my
These
are important notes.
Yeah, because I have a checklist here. You might be able to check some of these off for me. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay. So it appears, and my bad I should have brought these to the table. All right. It appears, I have them in my Excel sheet. I had to scroll down. It appears that Michigan is looking to be play action focused this fall. On Thursday, and if Juju remembers, I haven't seen it in the comments, but I was going to say something on Thursday and I kind of kept it to myself because I don't know. I'm still working on boundaries on things I can and cannot share sometimes. So there are apparently play action is a focus that is occurring with the offense right now. And then and then as I mentioned with Trey Pierce, the depth just appears to be getting deeper as camp goes on. So that is where we are. Those are the two extra nuggets of notes I had. We will see. Play action is something I feel like with an Alex Orji, with our running game, you should be able to take advantage of because defenses are going to try to load the box. They're going to try to stop that run. And if it's true that Alex Orji's passing ability is improving and he's able to make these quick decisions, we could kill defenses with that. So we'll see. I mean, it's extremely exciting. I'm really ready for football season.